clubhouse, you're going to be one of the older ones. I mean, there's 3 or 4 30-year-olds, but I mean, you're one of the more veteran ones. How does that change your approach?
I wouldn't say it changes my approach much, if at all. I've always tried to share information and have conversation with guys and help out wherever I'm able to. I really think that that's going to stay the same for me. I want the team to collectively be better as well as myself. And so, if there's conversations I can entertain or a place that I can step in and be of use, I'm all for that.
I feel like clarity of role helped you this past season and going into 2026. Instead of kind of bouncing between not knowing if you're starting, leaving, just you're a starter and you're going to go pole to pole. Like, how does that feel and how does that help you with your prep?
Yeah, I think I always tried to prep as a starter, just knowing it was easier to go from 5 innings to 1 than 1 to 5. But it's nice to not have the thought of, should I do these things in case I'm a reliever? Do I need to have these routines ironed out for both sides of things? It has been nice and semi less stressful this offseason to just commit to the starting role and 100% prepping for that role and that role only.
How do you feel toward the end of the year, health-wise and just kind of stamina-wise, and be able to make it so that you can be your best self August, September in 2026?
Yeah, I'm actually really, really happy with how I finished the season, especially given what I kind of went through in the middle half of the season. I kind of wish that we had an extra month there at the end. I felt like I started to really pick things back up and find my delivery again. The ball started coming out of my hand much better again. So I felt like, if we had to play another month of baseball, I probably would have hit my stride again during that month. And, I think that that's a great place to be. Now, moving into this season, just looking to make those adjustments to be a little more stable throughout that middle half.
With that year of experience in the books, what were your primary areas of focus and emphasis in your off-season regimen?
Yeah, I think it's a continuous evolution all the time. So, I'm never complacent in what I'm doing. I'm never just trying to do the same thing. I think there's always adjustments, even if I had an amazing season last year. That I'd be trying to make, and obviously I didn't have an amazing season. I think I did some things really well, and there's definitely some areas that I need to improve on still. But just for an example, I put on a few extra pounds this year just to help out with the durability a little bit. I feel like that could help me kind of carry that through that middle half of the season where I hit the lull a little bit. Outside of that, I'm working on everything all the time. I'm trying to refine the mechanics, trying to crispen up the sharpness of my pitches, trying to work on the command of them, trying to focus on the body control and the mental side of things, the breath work. It's really a holistic approach to this.
When you look at last season as a whole, what are the biggest things you feel like you learned, that you're going to take with you going forward? I mean, that first full season, big league, starting on a regular basis, and like you said, the lull in the middle. I mean, when you look at the whole thing, what's the biggest things that you learned that you're moving forward with?
Yeah, I think that stuff that I dealt with in the middle of the season was something that was pretty foreign to me. And so there was a learning curve that I had to adapt to rather quickly. And having it been something that I'd never been through before, there was a lot of trial and error. I didn't know what would work and what wouldn't work. I kind of had to do things and test it and see if it would work and then go back and, either retry those things or do something different. But I think the biggest thing that I learned was my ability to compete when I'm at less than my best physically, and that I can really still have success at this level even if I don't have everything that I need on a given day.
Do you give feedback to players that might be switching from reliever to starter roles, or do you kind of let everybody kind of do their own thing, figure out what works for them?
I'd say I give what guys are open to. If guys want to ask questions and have that conversation, I'm more than happy to do that. I love sharing my own experiences to help other guys. So I'd say it really depends on the guy. If they're looking for information, I'm happy to give it and share it. If they're not, I'm happy to stand by and support them in whatever way that they want to be supported.
Did you talk to Kyle?
Go ahead.
Did you talk to Kyle about what he going through that?
Yeah, we actually, Thursday night when I got in, we were over at Katie's, sat down for maybe an hour and a half and spoke, and then took it back to the hotel and hung out for maybe another hour and a half, talking about mechanics and pitch grips and just what we've been working on this off season. He's probably the most similarly minded pitcher to myself, I think, that we have, and so that makes it really fun for us to kind of connect and bounce ideas off of each other and be a sounding board for one another.
Libby, you've mentioned sandpaper changes, but how do you find like more swing and miss? Are there other shapes of pitches you can work on? Is it velo? What can you do to maybe, get more swing and miss?
I think the simple answer is yes, all of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you could develop a pitch that nobody's seen before, or that has more movement than anybody else has, or more velo than anyone else has, those are always going to be positive things. For me, the thing that I try and focus on the most is execution, and that was something that in that second half I didn't do as well, especially in 2-strike counts. So for me, really just committing to each pitch individually, making sure that I'm thinking about it in the right way, and then trying to put it where I want it when I need to do that. I think I have the ability to create swing and miss. It really is just going to depend on whether or not I'm able to execute in those opportunities.
Really, when you talk about, being able to compete when you're not feeling your best and having to go through that, how big was that for you in terms of going forward? Because, I guess, especially at that level, it's got to be a question mark until you've actually had to do it, right?
Yeah, like I said before, it was something that I never really had dealt with in my entire career, whether it was high school, summer ball, pro ball in the minor leagues. So that was the first experience kind of dealing with something like that I've ever gone through. And I think I just realized that, hitters smell blood in the water if you don't believe in yourself and what you're doing and your ability to get outs at this level. And, plenty of guys go through what I've gone through on some level and still find ways to have success. And I think, I came out of that at the end of the season feeling like it doesn't matter how I feel, I can still go get outs. And in turn, I think that did me a favor in me trusting myself and my mechanics and my stuff to go out and compete. And I think, in my last couple outings of the year, you really saw that turn around.
Now that Sonny is somewhere else, it seemed like you took a step forward this past season, whenever you started attacking that right side of the zone with more like front door two-seamers to the right-handed hitters. I remember specifically the start you had against Philadelphia, and you just really painted that right side of the zone. What did Sonny impart on you, and was that kind of one of the things that, like an adjustment he prescribed to you to try to do this that could take you to the next level?
I wouldn't say that was something he prescribed. We have a lot of conversations in between starts, and some of the stuff that was spoken about on execution are definitely derived from conversations I've had with him and my ability to execute in 2-strike opportunities. But that's just something when the command is there, it's nice to be able to move hitters' feet and make them feel uncomfortable. And that start specifically was a day that I happened to have really good command of my stuff.
The timing, like, early on in your career, you're a young guy, you're still learning. One year you're in the bullpen. Last year you're kind of making that transition. The timing, does it seem right for you, to maybe hit your prime this year where everything's kind of lined up for you?
Yeah, I'm not going to throw claims out there. I think, my job is to go out and execute one pitch at a time and try and give the team an opportunity to win every time I take the mound. But, I do feel like I have a lot of big league experience condensed into maybe just a couple seasons because of all the roles that I've been asked to fill. And I think that, that has served me very, very well. And, while it may have been hard to go through at the time, I think those are some of the most invaluable lessons in my career and things that, will hopefully carry me through the rest of my career.
What kind of goals do you have for yourself for this next year, be it starts, innings, strikeouts, or anything like that?
Obviously, I want to increase the workload a little bit. I'd love to throw, 170 to 180 innings, which I think is very realistic. But I think I also tend to set goals a little bit different than most people. I don't have an ERA goal or a strikeout goal or a number of wins goal. The way that I try and do it is a little more process-oriented and day-to-day or even pitch-to-pitch, if you will. I do what's called an execution journal after my outings where I go in and I judge the quality of each pitch based off of what my intentions were behind that pitch before I threw it. And so for me, if I can execute at a 70% clip or better every outing, I think we look up at the end of the season and see that the numbers are right where we'd want them to be. But, I try not to get too big picture.
Hey, Matthew, could you describe why you chose number 32 and the connection to Kovac?
Yeah. when I joined the club team that I played for when I was 7 years old, I got handed number 32, and my dad made the connection to Josh Hamilton on the hitter side and Sandy Koufax on the pitching side of things. And, my hitting career didn't exactly pan out. But I really clung to that Sandy Koufax comparison, and I started studying his video and reading some of his books, and even tried to emulate his mechanics for a little while. But we both have a very similar curveball, and the way that he throws his, he talks about splitting the ball in half and being able to get to the front half of it, are all very similar things to the way that I throw my curveball and the way I think about it. And I never really had an opportunity to get this number once I got to the big leagues, and unfortunately lost Matts as a teammate last year. He's one of my favorite guys ever, but that did open up that number for me, and so I went to our clubby and just said, hey, is there any chance that I can make the switch to 32? And he told me absolutely, and it feels right for me. Not that it's going to affect performance or anything, but that's a number that I've associated with myself for a very long time now, and so it's going to be nice to wear it again.
Did you have any thoughts on what this team could achieve? I know we haven't even gotten to spring training yet, but considering what you guys have lost this offseason, that you guys, the team is kind of banking on the players to take some more of a leadership role. What do you think you guys can achieve?
Yeah, obviously it's early. We haven't even gotten to camp yet, but I think the beautiful thing about baseball is that anybody can win on any given day for any given reason. And the best team in baseball loses 50 games every year, and the worst team in baseball wins 50 games every year. So, I think the difference lies in what you're able to do in those 30 to 40 games in between those two. And I don't see any reason why we can't go and put together a good stretch of baseball and win enough of those games to find ourselves in a good position at the end of the season.
As someone who's been at this event now several years, what's been your impression of how the fan base has reacted to what's transpired this offseason now that we're all here?
Yeah, my caravan was a little shorter, so I didn't get as good of a survey of the land as previous years. I just did a one city, one stop caravan instead of 3 or 4 cities over the course of 2 days. But Cardinals fans are enthusiastic, and they always have been. And this is a baseball town, and they want to see winning baseball. And I don't think anybody on this team is looking to put out a lesser brand of baseball than that. So. I don't see any reason why fans shouldn't be excited for us to come out and play this year, and I know we're all excited to get out in front of them and play and put a good product on the field.
Libby, you said on Cardinal territory you want the ball on opening day, or at least to be in consideration for that honor. What would that mean to you just to have the opportunity to pitch on opening day in front of Cardinal Nation in that environment?
I think it'd mean that I get the opportunity to give the team a chance to win on that day, and I think that's really, really cool for me. I don't want to make opening day more than it is, but to be able to throw the first game of the season, kind of kick us off that way, I think that'd be something super cool to reflect back on once my career is over. But at the end of the day, it's a baseball game, and I still got to throw the ball over the plate and face the hitters that come up to the box. So I'm not placing too much weight on it, but it's something that I don't know any pitcher that wouldn't want that honor.